Hey everyone, this is Mad Mac Collectibles here. This video is going to be a discussion. So I'm going to let you know what started this discussion, right? But it's going to be about action figure prices, right? There have been a lot of increases in the past few years, whether it be McFarlane Toys, whether it be Hasbro, and they have a lot of stuff, so there's a lot of stuff there with Hasbro that has increased. Whether it be Mafex, Figuarts, all kinds of stuff has seen, all kinds of lines have seen increases. And what sparked this discussion is I went to buy some Japanese items today, some stuff from Japan, excuse me. It's Kamen Rider merchandise. And for those of you who don't know, Kamen Rider is a part of a genre in Japan called tokusatsu, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the easiest way to think of it is it's very similar to Power Rangers, right? It's like the Japanese Power Rangers, but they're the original. They're what the Power Rangers were based on, and that's where they got the material, right? They shot it in Japan, they had their story, and then people from the U.S. or Saban and then Disney and the people who've owned it, the companies who have owned it, they would write around the footage that they got from Japan. Well, the camera is just looking uneven to me. The best, in my opinion, of the tokusatsu, right? And there you have like Sentai, which is like Japanese Power Rangers, to think of it simply. You have Ultraman, you have Kamen Rider, and many others actually. But the best of them, in my opinion, is Kamen Rider. So I went today, right, to buy some Kamen Rider stuff because last week, or this past episode, I think it aired Sunday for us in the US, or it came out. It was available for us to watch on Sunday. I believe so. Kamen Rider Zets, he got his final form, right? He got his powered up form, which is cool. In case you guys don't know, it's just an upgraded form, right? It's just their power up. But, Kamen Rider, they have a series of power ups. They have multiple forms because they sell a lot of toys, which is awesome because the forms are awesome. I'm one of those people that enjoys to buy the merchandise. But I always wait for the final form. I want to see how that goes. Sometimes I'll wait for the final form before I invest in the rest of the line, really. I don't know if other people do that. Maybe I'm odd, but it's like if the final form is cool, okay, I'm going to invest in the first form and this power up and that power up. And so I, like many other people, from what I understand online, from what I've read and what I've heard, I also loved the final form, Kamen Rider Extreme. So I was like, you know what? I want to buy the belt buckle, the specific one for Extreme, and I want to buy this 6-inch action figure they have that actually looks pretty cool, detailed enough. I was like, I want those two items. So I researched, I did a quick search, right? And I saw that the buckle is just the faceplate for the Extreme, for the final form of that Kamen Rider. So you actually need the regular buckle, the driver they call it. Sorry, I keep calling it buckle, whatever. But you need the original driver. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to just get the faceplate, right? What am I going to put the faceplate on? And so looked up the driver. So the driver at its cheapest, it's like $70. It's really 70 something bucks, but just to give a nice round number, 70. So 70 for that. It's about 65 for the faceplate for the new final form, and then it's about 65-ish the um, for the 6-inch figure that looks great. So it comes out to, with tax and everything, and not including shipping, right? Because it's coming from Japan. Um, it comes out to over $200. And so you look at it and you go, is there value in this for $200? I mean, I love the way the form looks. I love the way the merchandise looks. But is there value there for over $200, right? And I'm kind of torn with it. I like it. I like them. I think they look great. And I know they're imports. So, of course, they're going to be more expensive for us here in the US. Just like things that are cheaper for us here, whether it be McFarlane or Hasbro, are more expensive when you go into other countries. And I get that. So, you have to have that understanding, right? But $200 for that stuff, it's pricey, right? So I'm still thinking about that, and I'll get back to that. But it just made me think about Hasbro, McFarlane, and a bunch of these big brands that I follow as well. And don't even get me started on something like SH Figuarts. SH Figuarts probably is my favorite toy brand. If anybody was wondering, it's probably my favorite. I love the way they roll stuff out. I love that I follow them on Facebook, and they'll announce something on Facebook and they treat it as kind of an event. And I love waiting to see who's going to be revealed, and then when it's finally revealed. And that happened with me recently, and I'll keep this short because I want to get to the other ones as well. But man, it's like, so Goku, right? I was waiting for Super Saiyan 4 Goku from Daima, the adult version. And I know people joke around that there are a lot of Gokus and SH Figuarts. I get it. It's funny because people were joking about that so much. And then, like, I saw such an increase in people talking about Gokus. I mean, people have always complained about Gokus in SH Figuarts, that they released too many of him. And then, like, the next month, they had that Genki Dama one, or, the manga colored SH Figuarts, and people are paying like $300 for it. 300 plus. You're lucky if you get it for 200 now. Some people are waiting for it to get to 200 and they'll buy it like that. But that's a whole nother story. But that was funny. So I was waiting for Goku, and he comes up and it's $70, and I'm like, okay, this is a really, well, I don't know about the detail. I haven't gotten it in hand. It looks all right, but it has a nice sculpt to it. But again, $70. I don't know. I know it's an import. I know there's a lot of articulation and stuff. And don't get me wrong, if I had an infinite, or not infinite source of money, but if I had enough money where I could get all the SH Figuarts I would, that I could get, I would. I think their stuff is great, but $70, or 75, I think with tax, it was going to come out to 91. So, I didn't end up getting that one. I did not. And another thing is, right, it's not as fun when you pre-order something and then it's like, it comes out in December and we're in May. It's like, okay, so I have to wait a few months, huh? Half a year, close to half a year, whatever it is. And then and that's if you're lucky. Sometimes it's a year out. But anyway, stuff like that made me think, right? Hasbro has increased their prices recently. That's and I get it too. I get it, right? Like, they're giving us, well, ideally, with the increases, we'd get better figures. And I think overall they do a good job. But sometimes you pick up you pick up the box, right? Maybe you go to Target or whatever. Maybe you pre-ordered it and you got it in. And you go, wow, this was $25, not including tax, not including shipping. Maybe you got it on Amazon, so maybe there was no shipping. So you go like, this is $25. And I know I see that with the Spider-Man figures, where everybody loves Spider-Man, myself included. But there's something, he has such a small body, he has such a thin body, and the figures are they're nice, they're well done, but you go, is this worth 25? And what Hasbro did, is they had cheaper prices. Well, or they were cheaper than they are now, not too long ago. And the pricier ones, the ones around 25, if I'm not mistaken, were the Build-A-Figure ones. But you knew why you were paying a little extra, right? Because you're paying for that extra piece of plastic. You're paying for more because you can literally build another figure once you buy the set. Well, they have then they did another thing, right? They're like, okay, but what we'll do is we're gonna have some other figure releases right outside of the Build-A-Figure wave, and we're gonna put them in this nice retro card packaging. And they did it with X-Men, they did it with Spider-Man, and they had this really nostalgic packaging for anyone like myself that grew up at the time when those figures were released. So you recognize that packaging. You watched the shows, X-Men the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, Batman the animated series too, of course, and other ones, but that was DC. But for Marvel, grew up with all of that. So when you see that retro card packaging, you're like, oh man, it brings you back. It brings you back. So we all fell for it at first. We bought them, right? Because it reminded us of our childhoods. And then, but with those came pricier figures. Well, they increased the price. It came with price increases. But it was supposed to be just because it was retro card backed, right? Or with that packaging, it was special. But then they kept releasing stuff, right? They kept releasing more and more Spider-Man retro card back ones, X-Men ones. They did the VHS tapes, which were very cool. I bought a bunch of them for X-Men and Spider-Man. I grew up with those shows, so those are some of the best shows. Best superhero shows, really. Cartoon shows, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. They did that, and then they never brought the prices back down, right? They were like, okay, we can make this money. Let's keep releasing these retro cards, but then they never went down. So you ended up kind of paying for Build-A-Figure. You ended up paying Build-A-Figure prices for figures that didn't come with the Build-A-Figure pieces. And then the Build-A-Figure waves, they went up by $1 or $2. I can't even remember now. I just remember it was cheaper. Because now, they do it so gradually, it just becomes normal. And then you're like, how did we end up here? How did we go from here to here? And it's really smart what they do. And listen, it's okay. Like I said, if I had the money, I'd buy it all. I'm not really like complaining. Well, I am, but it's more so venting and just talking about how we got here. DC, they've done it too, where McFarlane Toys, they were really well priced for a while there. I was really digging what McFarlane was putting out. And then I realized, what was it, maybe 2 years ago, maybe more, I don't know, the time kind of blends together. But I was like, why are these so pricey now? I mean, we used to get these for what, like $22 or whatever it was. compared to that Marvel at 25, hey, it sounds like it sounds small, 22, 25, but it adds up when you buy a bunch of figures, right? And then you see what you're getting for that 22 bucks with McFarlane, or at least, there's the height, there's the weight, so you kind of feel like you're getting more. It's not necessarily true, because even though Hasbro's figures are smaller, sometimes they are more detailed. Sometimes they do have better uh, figure engineering. But yeah, we've gotten to a point where it's pretty pricey. Mafex, you know, I actually haven't owned a Mafex one. That's one of the only ones I have not owned. I've wanted some, but I kind of got more interested in them recently. I was more of a Marvel Legends person, or, DC Multiverse person. And then I said, I kind of want to try that Mafex. But when I when I looked at the Mafex, it's like I go on Big Bad Toy Store and it's like 130 bucks. Oh, okay. Sometimes more. Sometimes like $10 less. But you're kind of lucky if you get a Mafex for 100 bucks, a new release. And again, I get it. There's their imports, or right, Mafex is an import. I'm pretty sure. If not, somebody will correct me. But um, some of these brands are imports. Some of them just have that good of toy engineering. You know, great detail, great sculpting, great paint jobs. The posability is awesome. But man, 130 bucks, 120 bucks. I don't know. Yeah, I was just thinking about this stuff today. Like I said, I went to go see how much everything would cost for that Kamen Rider stuff. Yeah, 200 bucks. Like I said, I know it's coming from Japan, guys. I know it's an import. I know there's all kinds of stuff there. I'm not complaining about the sellers selling it for that much, or it's just like, dang. I do wish it was cheaper though. Right? But that's all of us with everything right now. We wish everything was more affordable. I don't know. What do you guys think? Um, have you guys had some experiences where you just bought something, maybe you returned it, maybe you pre-ordered it, it came in, and you were just like, this is not worth the price? Or you went to Target or Walmart or wherever else, and you found some of these figures and you said, you know what, it's not worth the price, and you put it back down. I don't know. What do you guys think? What are your suggestions for me? Or what have you been collecting or not collecting? What gives you the most bang for your buck? Let me know. See you next time.